Lovely property there up at Mount Osman, and I know that Sue has already had a few people showing some good interest in it, so hopefully it'll be sold fairly soon. Now, in the studio with me still is Kel Spencer, Director of Propel National Valuers. Kel, perhaps extending our chat a little bit further, we've touched on a good number of things, but how are you feeling prices for property at the moment have been through the year, and rental prices as well?
Okay, Tim, well, prices have just come back that bit through the year, come off about 4% and about 2.3% in the last quarter. So, you know, that's just been trending along a little bit negative, but only a shallow amount, and in line with probably the rest of Australia, which is sort of showing up much the same. Rental prices have held reasonably well,
yes,
particularly in the city. Houses and units in the city are just sort of flat-lining, no real advance or negative approach there. Houses in the suburbs are probably off about $15, so we're a medium rental now of $340 to $355 in the suburbs. So not a lot, and I guess in the longer term we're not building as much. With a little bit of an increase of the population will in turn put some pressure on rents, and we'll see housing prices come back as well.
That's a very interesting point, and it just makes me think of one other point that I've guessed might be the case, but developers obviously are in fewer numbers around the place at the moment. Are we going to see a little bit of a pent-up demand grow for new courtyard dwellings in the near future, do you think?
I think we will, because the shifting of the demographics, the population is really dictating that we have a large sector of the baby boomers looking for accommodation now without, you know, a lot of the maintenance and so forth. So courtyard homes, apartments, I think we've embraced apartment living. We're going to see more of it. And you're right, the developers have been quiet, so we've seen less supply line and a bit of extra population movement. We'll see the demand start to pick up. So really, and you and I have been in this marketplace for a long time now, Tim, and it's a bit like holding down a rubber band. You know, you hold it down for long enough and then you let it go and it springs, and that's exactly what will happen, we believe. Probably in 12 months' time we'll see a return to some quite good statistics in the residential market.
Might suggest that now's the time to be really getting involved in buying.
Well, I think so. I think it's a good time for investors to be looking at stock and making a move.
Couple of other questions that I had for you. Potential buyers at the moment seem to be slow in making decisions. There's a couple of reasons, I believe, but any thoughts from yourself?
Well, correct, and this is showing up not just in property but also in retail.
Yes.
There has been a few signs lately. Retail is starting to get a little better, but I think it is just a global uncertainty. I think that there's probably some political unrest here in Australia, and so you put these factors together and confidence does seem to dwindle, and we've got, you know, business confidence faltering and consumer confidence faltering, and whilst you have those factors, things do slow down.
Well, confidence seems to be the umbrella to encompass a number of little issues along the way, doesn't it?
Exactly right.
And perhaps last question for you, any thoughts on the better performing suburbs in Adelaide?
Well, just over the last few months we've seen Parkside and Unley, something like 17% increase there, so that's just, I guess, the inner suburbs again performing well. A bit of strength around Port Adelaide in the Ethelton and Peterhead, that's probably in the 10 to 12% bracket, so a bit of growth there. Aldinga Beach and Mount Barker, which are kind of new areas and growth areas, we're seeing a little bit of positive news there, so that's a good sign. That's
a nice little cross-section of properties where people might want to live and perhaps even invest as well.
Yes, certainly. Certainly the close-in suburbs will do well, and it's a bit of the donut effect around Adelaide, which we've witnessed over the years, and that'll continue to do well.
Okay, excellent. Well, look, Kel, thank you very much for coming in and spending the time with me. Most informative, and it's been great to have you in.
Fantastic. Thanks, Tim.
Pleasure.
All the best.
Now we're going to go and have a look at some of our hot properties. Well, that's it for today's show, and I'm relaxing here at Villaroy on Kensington Road. Don't forget to download the TOOP app, and of course next week we'll have some fabulous properties across the coast, through the hills and into the suburbs for you to look at. So we'll see you next Wednesday at 1 o'clock, and now for some more hot properties.